Hello, my name is Carly Swart, and today I'm going to be talking about online advertising. A little bit behind why I chose online advertising is because I'm a graphic design and media marketing major. And this is really important for what I want to do in the future. And I want to know a little bit more about how effective online advertising is and how important it will be in my future, um, as well as how it's developing. So let's get started. The history behind online advertising dates back in 1994 when the first ad was ever published online. It was a banner ad for AT&T on what is now Wired's website. Um, As a result from this, the AT&T paid $30,000 for the ad to be placed on the website, and they received a 44% pay-per-click, which is very much above average of what we see today for pay-per-clicks. Um, since the first ad was posted, um, online advertising has grown immensely. A year later, the price model was created to help advertisers get their product marketed. And then between 1995 and 1999, online advertising started to grow even more by adding cost per thousand impressions, double click, pop up ads, and as well as pay per clicks. And this is the ad that was originally posted by AT&T. So we will be talking a little bit about what is online advertising as well as the pros and cons of advertising. And this is a quote by Henry Ford that I found really inspiring and helpful to understanding a little bit more about advertising. He says, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops the clock to save time." All right. So, what is online advertising? Basically, online advertising is the best way to reach a large audience, especially since so many people are online constantly now. Online advertising is created to provide marketing messages to a specific consumer. So it is targeted to engage consumers to a specific action, such as making a purchase. The most common form of online advertising is pay-per-click. It is also the most effective way of advertising. Um, Paid social advertising allows advertisers to target specific consumers. So a way to do that is through campaigning. And some of the elements to campaigning is through text and visual ads, landing pages, call tracking, sponsored content, analytics, email marketing, as well as remarketing. So different types of online advertising um, are social media marketing, which is a great way to market to consumers from within a company's own platform. It is an easy way to promote a product or service directly to a company's consumers or future consumers. Analytics for posts on social media can be tracked easily as well through this type of marketing. Next is content marketing, and the goal of content marketing is to attract an organic crowd of viewers. So this is done by creating a better search engine optimization, which can lead to paying for content on relevant websites. Next is email marketing, and this many companies utilize as a way of marketing to always keep in touch with existing customers. The next is search engine advertising. And this helps increase the views of your website on search engine sites. So this isn't like search engine optimization, which is appearing high on the search bar without paying for it. Rather, search engine marketing is often called pay per click. And the effectiveness is measured by the cost per clicks from viewers. The next is display advertising, and this is the act of placing content like photos, videos, or graphics on third-party websites. When clicked, the viewer is brought to the company's website. And this can seem risky as it is often correlated with online fraud, but choosing a safe website that a company wants to be on is far better than having a third party picking which website to place their ad. And the most effective forms of display advertising is retargeting, which retargets existing viewers or customers. And lastly, the mobile advertising is becoming a new way to advertise to consumers. Since so many people spend a lot of their time on phones, advertisers have used that to their advantage. So they use advertising through push notifications, text messages, or via mobile apps. So now we'll talk about the pros of advertising, online advertising. And over the years, advertising has really changed from traditional advertising to the new advertising, which is online. And this graph kind of shows how much internet has grown and how so many people use it now compared to how it used to be used before. The other traditional advertising platforms are slowly declining, as you can see in the graph. Using the newspaper has decreased immensely due to the internet taking over, since we don't need newspapers anymore because news is now at our fingertips. So this is a different graph that kind of shows the cost difference between traditional and online advertising. And they both, although they will both reach the same amount of people, um, traditional ads take more time and more money to get there versus online advertising, which doesn't take as much work to receive the same results. Some other ways traditional ads can be compared to online ads is that traditional ads are harder to measure results from who has viewed the content. So trying to track analytics is a lot more harder. Especially with newspapers, there's not a lot of ways to track who has seen a specific ad. And this method of advertising is more commonly used with the older generation since they have grown up with this type of media. Online advertising is the opposite of traditional, being that it is easier to track who sees your content. It is also easier to keep in contact with people online versus traditional. And this is also a lot more popular with the younger generation since they grew up on all this technology. So this is a stat that I found, and it says that as of April 2021, 4.72 billion people are using the internet worldwide. And according to Data Portal, the total number of internet users from the past year have grown by 332 million users, which is very crazy to think about, but that has to do with COVID and transitioning everything to online versus in person. So, on average, people will spend about 7 hours on their internet each day, according to Data Portal. And within those 7 hours, 2 hours and 22 minutes are spent on social media. And with so many people online and businesses promoting their products, it is found that 9 out of 10 people ages 16 through 64 visit online retail stores. And from these visits in 2020 alone, $2.4 trillion was spent on those online retail stores worldwide. So next, we're going to talk about the cons of advertising, online advertising. And although it doesn't seem like there could be any cons, there unfortunately are. And these are some of the disadvantages to online advertising. And these are just some of them. There's a few more that are out there. As we continue to advance in their technology, there will always be new issues arising. So Misleading product is one of the disadvantages, and some advisors create misleading ads for their products. And this is seen by many different ways. Some examples are emergency, which claim that it prevented the common cold, but between 2006 and 2012, customers were reimbursed since emergency does not, in fact, prevent colds. Another example is Kashi, the cereal brand, which marketed their cereal to be all natural, but didn't mention the non-natural ingredients. And Kellogg's ended up filing a lawsuit against them for making such claims. Another disadvantage is encouragement of monopoly. Big companies can essentially overrun smaller companies due to higher paid ads. And this pushes smaller businesses to the side to fend for themselves and encourages larger companies to become larger. But as a result, smaller businesses are really essential to America, especially. According to Tough Nichols' article, they create jobs, drive innovation, are important to suppliers, and they are key to customers. The other one is misdirection of purchasing, and this is basically advertisers marketing unnecessary products and therefore creating a demand for them. Things like smartwatches, fake lashes, charcoal beauty products, or bamboo toothbrushes aren't necessary, but are advertisers push to make them necessary, even though they aren't really essential. And the other one is multiples of the same product. And this can create confusion to the average consumer since there are so many brands that sell the same thing but have minor differences between them. It also makes it impossible to know the true quality among different products. So next we're going to talk a little bit about the passive and active advertising and kind of um, how those work within online advertising. So passive advertising is marketing products or services in a way that is convenient to consumers. This includes having the information to the business ready for consumers to see and look at. It is also less engagement with people. So examples would be creating a website or having a social media account. The other type of advertising is active advertising. Advertising is going out of your way in order to attract consumers. And this means actually interacting with consumers. So different ways of doing that is using social media, posting on social media, or making cold calls or sending out emails. Another way is also pop-up ads, which is where a lot of issues kind of arise um, because they become too distracting, as well as just sometimes they're just too extreme with finding information and invading privacy. So we'll talk a little bit more about pop-up ads and kind of the issues that arise there. And essentially, it creates advertising fraud. And some of the advertising frauds seen online are invisible or hiding ads. And these come in several different ways, such as one by one pixel iframe on inside of the website. It's also seen on the outside of the viewport as well, or multiple resized ads. And it can also be seen as several ads stacked on each other, which looks like one ad. The other one is impression laundering. And this is the process which happens through an advertiser who buys a specific ad from a publisher. Then part of the ad impression bought gets served on fraudulent websites where the viewer nor any content is relevant. And then what happens is that the advertiser doesn't notice anything because through complex redirects, the ad is laundered into seeing a legitimate site instead of the actual fraud site. And another one that is seen is bots traffic. And this is where a publisher uses botnet traffic to do fake clicks or mouse movement in fake social network login information, as well as dedicated proxy servers, making it impossible to track traffic to a specific source. So there are several other ways that bot traffic is used, but these are essentially the main methods in order to be disguised as real human traffic on the internet. And one of the bigger operations that has used this method is called MethBot, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. There are other types of advertising fraud that aren't mentioned, but those are like hijacking ads, hijacking clicks, pop unders, as well as fake users, fake installs, and attribution manipulation. So these are some numbers that I found to be kind of scary, to be honest. And it's estimated that 6.5 to 19 billion dollars in total cost is spent in advertising fraud. And it is estimated to grow to $56 billion by the year 2025. So this is a huge operation that just keeps on going and is very prevalent today. So a little bit about MethBot. MethBot is being one of the bigger operations that have been caught using bot traffic as a way of fraud, and has made one of the largest and most expensive online advertising frauds to date. It was detected back in 2016 during the presidential election from the US-based security firm White Ops. MethBot was controlled by a Russian criminal group that operated under the name of Ad Fraud Komada. And they would fabricate inventory, impersonate sites, and disguise itself as legitimate IPS, which is an advertisement protocol address designated to each device connected to a computer network. And the operation would include having bot traffic, open ads on fake premium sites all at the same time while gaining access to the most profitable ads and maximizing profits from those ads. And it was all strategically planned out and created such a huge issue in online advertising. They would end up receiving three to $5 million from advertising each day for several years. And there are several other bot operations just like this one that are still either ongoing or have been caught already. But being mindful of these operations is key to avoiding any sort of ad fraud. So how is online advertising changing today? We've seen the pandemic change a lot of things, but one of those things is online advertising. And it's accelerated the rate of technology around the world. And this allows for more people to always be surfing the web constantly. There are other issues that go with the online advertising, but a lot of it has been changing, such as privacy concerns, which have risen due to companies wanting more data to understand behavior manipulation. This has led governments to activate privacy laws for consumers. In the same way, the government has created changes to big tech companies such as Google or Apple due to invasion of privacy. Also, the use of cookies have increased and the approval of them as well. And this all means that companies must move to being more intentional in getting to know their consumers rather than creeping on them through third-party cookies. So online advertising is an essential tool to understand, especially now. It is important to developing a company, and in the end, it is rewarding as well if used correctly. And I hope this helps you in the future by how you advertise to consumers and helps you understand more about the complexity of social media. Thanks for watching. And these are my sources.